Hey guys, it's T from Driftwood Gaming and I'm here with another RPG Maker MZ The Basics tutorial. Today we're going to go over the event command page 1. Let's take a look at that right now. We just have to start an event and double click in an empty space. And here it is, the event command page 1. So we're going to give this event an image before we start. And just pick somebody from our peoples. How about this chick? Yeah, we're going to pick this chick. We're going to go through the event commands and use the ones we haven't used in previous tutorials, and we'll probably use some of those too. So we're definitely going to use show text. Let's start with show text, and we're going to have this person asking us how we feel today. What's her name going to be? She looks like a Brianna to me. What do you guys think? Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is choose show choices. So we can decide with show choices to give the player agency and tell Brianna how they're feeling. So we have one answer that we can actually use to create another branch, and the other sad answer that I spelled wrong. Let me fix that. I never spell things wrong. Okay. So we have, if I rated how I was feeling, I would say I'm a ... or I'm so sad, save me. So in this, if I rated how I'm feeling, let's add the next thing that's going to appear on the event command page. And that's input number. So we can choose how many digits the input number has, and we store what the player inputs into a variable. And we're just going to stick with 1 digit for now, but you can make it so that the player could input several digits. This would be a 6-digit number. It's actually a really big number, but we're just going to stick with 1. Based on what the person inputs for their number, we're going to have the NPC assume whether or not the player is having a good day or a bad day. In order to do that, we'll use a conditional branch with an else branch. So we're going to go to this variable, choose the number input variable that we specified, and indicate that if it's below 5, the NPC will assume that you're having a bad day. If it's 5 or above, the NPC will assume you're having a good day. So if the input is less than 5, the NPC will assume you're having a bad day. And now, if it's 5 or above, the NPC will assume that you're having a good day. So now we'll actually give her something to say if you say that you're having a bad day. The next thing that we'll talk about is selecting an item. Before we decide to ask the player to select an item, we're actually going to jump over here to change items and give them a few items to work with. So to use change items, you just choose an item from this drop-down menu, and we're going to choose potion. And you can choose to either increase or decrease the item. If you choose decrease and the player has that item, it'll decrease it by the amount that you specify here. And if they don't have any, it'll just do nothing. But we're going to choose increase, and we're going to give the player 10 potions. You can also use a variable to dynamically give them a certain amount of potions depending on your storyline. So in order to use select item, we're going to make another variable, and this will store the ID number of the item that the player selects. In order to use this, we would then refer to that variable. So let's have her say something depending on whether or not you have the item. Again, we're going to use a conditional branch with an else branch. We're going to indicate what variable we want to look at. So item ID. If that item ID is equal to potion, which is 7, it will do something. And then if it's not equal to potion, then it will do something else. And then we can add something for if you don't have the potion. And let's actually go over scrolling text for if you don't have the potion. We'll show some scrolling text if this is the outcome that you have. So scrolling text, I just want to say, if you use this too much, it can get kind of boring. It gets kind of wordy. If you make it too slow and don't allow the player to fast forward, it can be a little aggravating. So definitely try to use this with tact if you can. It definitely has a place in games and is a very useful feature, but be careful about how you use it because you could make it frustrating to your players. I'm going to increase the speed. How about 6? If you click no fast forward, it'll stop the player from being able to fast forward. Again, use this with caution. If the player wants to fast forward, all they have to do is hit the enter button and it'll move a lot faster than what you set. So previously we have gone over control switches, control variables, and in fact Drifty has more detailed tutorials out about those. Now let's go ahead and add a timer and see how that works. So we're going to start a timer and decide how many seconds it will last, and I'm going to say 5 seconds. It's a 5-second timer. And then I'm going to add a conditional branch that's looking at the timer. You see you have an option here. And if it's at 0 seconds, it will do something. And we're going to set another event. This is going to be a parallel event, and generally I put my parallel events at the top left corner. That way they're easy to find when you need to look for them later. So we're going to make this a parallel event, and we're going to add a conditional branch that looks for the timer. We have to also set the timer to be less than or equal to 0. Alright, and so that this parallel event doesn't continue to run and cause a load on your game, we're also going to put a self switch in here and create a new page. Make its condition that self switch that you put in the first page. And now when this creepy dude says what he has to say, the parallel event will be turned off. Another thing that we're going to do is turn on another switch so that we can get to the second page of our NPC's event. So this switch will be called Page 2 NPC. Okay? And we're turning that on. So after the creepy dude pops up and says what he has to say, now our event will switch to this new page that we're making. Specify that we are on page 2 NPC. So let's add a second page. We're going to create a loop. And inside that loop, we need to create a conditional branch. In the conditional branch, we're going to specify a variable, and that variable will be the condition in which you would like the loop to end. So we're going to call this loop break. And I'm going to set this to 5 because I want my loop to run 5 times. Inside the loop break, if it meets this condition, we want to stop the loop. So that's where we're going to put break loop. But outside of this, we're going to add what we want to happen during each loop. So I'm going to have this lady have a little bit of a nervous breakdown because that guy was creepy. And then, in order to make sure that we meet the condition, we have to change our variable every time the loop plays. So let's add control variable, specify the loop break variable, and add 1 for each time the loop changes. Now, once the loop break equals 5, which is after she says, "Ah, he's scary," 5 times, it will break the loop, and then the event will look for what we have down here. We're not going to use exit event processing because we don't actually want to exit the event processing, but if you ever did want to use this, this is a quick way to just close out of your event within the event. Now, common events are a very interesting thing that you can use in your game, and they're extremely useful. One cool thing to note is that while there were 1,000 common events available in MV, there are now 2,000 common events available in MZ, and believe me, people will use that many. They're so useful. So we can add a common event to this. Let's go ahead and say we're going to add common event 1, and then we have to go into the database to specify what common event 1 is. So let's name this and call it common event. And we're going to have something happen here. Let's use this to change some of the variables in the party statistics. How about we give them some gold? We already gave them some items, so we'll skip that. We'll also change some weapons, so why don't we give them a mithril sword? Yep. And how about some armor? They need armor too. How about a dragon breastplate? We'll give them 3 of those. You can also specify the number they get dynamically in your game based on your player's actions with a variable. Additionally, if you click Include Equipment, When you're decreasing their armor or their weapons, etc., you will take it from what they have equipped. If you don't select this, it won't take it from what they have equipped. And then change party member. Let's get rid of Reid. Bye. We'll change party member again. We're going to add somebody. Let's add Rosa, and we're going to initialize Rosa. And what this means is that they will initialize with the default values that you specify in the database. Okay, I think we're done with this common event now. Let's go back to this event. So the common event will have run, and now we're going to add a label. Now, one thing to keep in mind about labels is that when you refer to them later, you have to use the exact syntax that you used or the spelling and grammar that you used in the original label. So it's a good idea to keep them short and simple. So we're going to call this one puppies. That's our label. Now let's move on, and we can add a comment to our event. This is for our own information. You see that it's a bright green, it's easy to see, and if you want to document your events, this is a great way to do it. Another thing that these are useful for is some plugin creators will use comments in the same way that they'll use note tags or plugin commands. Now, lastly, we'll just overview these things. We haven't really done any battle or anything yet, so we won't use them in battle, but let's take a look at them. We can change our actors' hit points. Again, we can use a variable for this, and we can also allow death. So if you choose to change your actor's hit points and it goes below the health that they have, you will game over your player. You can choose entire party, or you can pick any one of the actors that you have. You can also use a variable. That's useful if you have a game where players can change their actors or their party members. The next one is change MP. It uses the same parameters as change HP. Change TP is again the same. You can also change the state of your party members. You can either do it for your entire party or just an actor. Use a variable. You can remove or add states. This is great for if you have like a state removal healing thing on the ground that the party can walk on. You can use this to just get rid of all the party states. You can also recover all. This is something that is often used in games as recovery springs or at certain save points before bosses. You can change your player's experience. You can change their level. Again, these all have the same options, except for this one has show level up. If you want an indication of whether or not you've gone up a level to be shown to the player, you would select this. You can change their parameters. You can change their skills. You can change their equipment, their name. And this is kind of fun, actually, if you want to put it in your game, like partway through. You can give the player a choice to change their actors' names, which I personally like because I generally tend to not like the actor's name that I chose at the beginning. You can change their class. You can also change their nickname, and this shows up above their profile in the menu. And then you can change their profile, and this is just a short description about the actor or the player that you input yourself. Let's do a little event to see what this looks like. We're going to put a profile on Michelle, and she's going to have the profile okay. In order to see this, we're just going to copy this. We're going to make a little event up here, an auto run. Put this in here. Turn a self switch on. Add a new page, and turn the event off. So when we play, it'll apply that profile as soon as we enter the map. Now we have a profile, see? Michelle likes waffles. Before we go, we're going to use jump to label. So let's show text to indicate that we've jumped to the label. And then give the player a choice as to whether or not they want to jump to it. If you choose to jump to the label, we jump to the label. You have to put this in exactly the way you wrote the label in the first place, and that's why it's so much easier if you just use one simple lowercase name. Okay, and that's all. Let's test to see how our events play. For the first time, we'll answer everything positively, and then the next time we'll answer everything negatively. We're going to say, we feel great. And she answers accordingly. We're going to give her a potion. And now we're waiting for our timer to go off. Creepy guy should show up. The timer's at 0. Now her event is at page 2, which I forgot to add an image, so she's invisible. So she's still there. The event's still there, even though she's invisible. She should say this 5 times. And now she should stop. And then we can decide whether or not we want to jump to the label. And she'll just keep saying this every time we jump to the label. So let's do this again, and we're going to answer everything negatively this time. And before we do that, why don't we just add an image to page 2? Oops. That's better. Okay, this time we're going to just answer negatively. Oh dear, how sad. She wants a potion. You can't have a potion. Oh shoot. All I wanted was a potion. Now we have our timer. A creepy guy should show up after 5 seconds. There he is. The timer's at 0, and now she's on page 2. And she's actually there this time because we added an image. Ah, he's scary. She'll say this 5 times. And then we're not going to jump to the label. I don't feel like it. We will be going over event command pages 2 and 3 in future tutorials. If you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and definitely come hang out with us on the Discord. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!